Hello and welcome to my channel. If this is your first time here, my name is Millie and I love any makeup, especially shiny, shifty, and sparkly eyeshadows. And today I'm really excited to be showing you the new eyeshadow palette from Sugar Drizzle, and it is the MILF palette, which stands for Man, I Love Frogs. And I just think that's so funny. This is what the front cover looks like. Super cute little nerdy frog. And it's such a clever name, and that's something that Sugar Drizzle has been kind of doing, is doing a lot of clever kind of concepts and ideas and quirky covers. And so this is a larger palette, so there's more shades in here, and oh my goodness, it is an all shimmer palette. They have been releasing some 9-pan palettes that have some mattes in them, but this is an all shimmer palette. There's lots and lots to choose from, lots of blues, greens, and purples, which I love all of those colors. So the moment I saw the inside of this palette, I knew I really wanted to try it out, and Sugar Drizzle did send this to me in PR to try out. So thank you so much to Sugar Drizzle for sending me this palette. And this palette is launching May 14 at 3 p.m. Eastern time. Let's talk about a little bit about some of the shades. There's two black base multi-chromes in here, Hop Along and MILF, and I will of course be showing you swatches of the palette, as well as swatch comparisons between my single eyeshadows, as well as some other eyeshadow palettes from Sugar Drizzle and other brands as well, in case you're interested, so that you're not buying duplicates of the same shade, in case you are interested in this palette. And I do have an affiliate code. I will put it up on the screen. So let's get back into these shades. There's some that are duochromes, there's some that are other multi-chromes, just really dimensional shades, and there's some that are a little bit more just like regular shimmers, but they're really beautiful and amped up and shiny, such as Lily Pad and Feeling Froggy. There's two a little bit more iridescent kinds of shades, Camouflage and Ribbit. Some of them are a little bit chunkier. For example, Leap and Croaky and Frog Life have just a little bit of chunkiness to them, and you can kind of tell the way it looks in the pan. And some of these shades are just a little bit squishy, but they're not like really extremely squishy. They just feel a little wet to the touch. So for example, Leap and Croaky, I would say the most out of all of these, and the rest of them feel just pretty on par with most other shimmers. Fly Swatter does feel just a little bit on the thicker side, so does Tadpole, just in case you were wondering. So I just wanted to touch on some of the textures that are in this palette. So let's get right into the swatches, the swatch comparisons, and the 4 looks that I created with this palette, and then at the end of the video I will give you some of my thoughts. So this one was harder to find because it has just a little bit of a base to it. So it's not completely like clear base like the other shade in the palette. So I think Celine actually from Terra Moons is the closest, because it has just a tiny bit of that base. But even then, it's not exact, but the shift is to a blue. But again, not exact dupes, but pretty similar. This one was another difficult one. While they are pretty similar, Leap just has so many sparkles throughout it, like different colors. And also it is a lighter pink with less of a base than Starlight. You could really sheer this one out, or you could really build this one up. But I'm not sure if this was necessarily like a multi-chrome, but it is super dimensional. Pond is really more of a duochrome. It's got a little bit of a shift. It is definitely very dimensional, but I wouldn't say it's like a true multi-chrome like Lucid Lavender. Lucid Lavender has that really strong shift. Pond is almost like if you layered Lucid Lavender on top of Altair from Devinah Cosmetics, I think you would get that color. But yeah, these are not direct dupes. These are all extremely similar. I'm actually really surprised how similar these are. I would say pretty much almost dead on dupes. Maybe the tones are a little bit different of the green straight on, but overall like really similar. The shift in Camouflage might be just a little bit more subtle compared to some of these other shades. So next up is MILF. Definitely all these other multi-chromes from JD Glow, Touch of Glam, and Devinah. I would say they're pretty much on par in terms of the tones and the shift. Patina's obviously pretty different, but these are all very much similar. Tadpole is actually very similar to Reign of Terra. I feel like the shift is a little bit different, and the straight on tone is a bit different, which is Broom Nebula is also the sparkliest out of them. So you can see the shift is similar, but not the same. Last comparison for the single shadows. These are all extremely similar. The tones straight on are just a little bit different, but shift wise pretty much dead on. Top is Hop Along. Below that is Deep Forest from the ItsBel Dawn of Fall palette, and below that is Selfless from the Dragonfly Warrior palette from Sugar Drizzle. So definitely think that Deep Forest is similar to Hop Along, but Fierce is just a bit, it's just more blue, and it shifts to a purple. I do think Deep Forest is more of a grassy green straight on. Croaky at the top, below that is Go Rogue from the ItsBel Break the Rules palette, and below that is a Flamingo Baby from the Frosty Flamingo palette. So Go Rogue is very, very similar, but it's just a bit lighter in base, and it's just more translucent as well. You can see Croaky just looks darker, even though I layered them both the same. And that Flamingo Baby is somewhat similar, but it's got a different tone to it, different base. It feels different effect. It's more opaque. Fly Swatter at the top, below that is Eager for More from the ItsBel Break the Rules palette, and below that is Aquamarine from the ItsBel Flare palette, which I think is a direct dupe to Fly Swatter. They look the same, they have the same kind of shift. Maybe Aquamarine is a little bit more of a like denim blue, at least from what I'm seeing from this angle. And Eager for More is pretty different. It doesn't really shift, and it's got more sparkles throughout it. Except these are all from Sugar Drizzle palettes, so Tadpole, then Quirky from the Butterfly palette, and Bat My Eyes from the Gnome Chrome palette. I think that Quirky is a little similar, but it's different in texture. It shifts differently. It's a little bit different tone and base. Tadpole looks like it has a bluish base, while Quirky doesn't quite have a base, like it's just its own color. Next up is Pond at the top, and below that is Amazing Dragonfly Warrior palette. And these are dupes. I would say they're basically exactly the same. They feel the same, they look the same. Leap from the Sugar Drizzle palette, and below that is a Rosewater from the ItsBel Flare palette. While these look similar in the pan, Leap has a ton of green specks throughout it. It's much more translucent, and Rosewater has a bit of a base, and you can see the shift is different, even though they look similar, but they're definitely not. MILF versus I Gnome You from the Gnome Chrome palette. A little bit similar, but the tone straight on is different, but they do shift very similarly, but not the same. And also MILF is definitely much more metallic. Going in with the Blends palette from Blend Bunny Cosmetics. Going in with Bubble Bath. Because this is kind of like a almost slightly monochromatic kind of color story. Well, it's like blues and greens. I feel like I can really just do blue and green eyeshadow, just throw it on the lid and kind of decide which shade I want to go in with. So I'm just really putting that right into the crease. I'm trying out these new brushes I got on Amazon actually. One of them is like a really small size, and I was just super curious. This is MSQ. And it's like a little brush. It doesn't have a number on it, but look how tiny it is. I love it. So I really wanted to try it. This is like a little bit larger, but it's still kind of like controlled. Like it's not like too fluffed out. Going in with Bewitched on the outer corner. I'm going to make these pretty simple looks, probably between like half cut creases and halo eyes, just because we're really here for the shimmers. Just blending that right in the edge. Just adding a little bit more, and then taking it under my lower lash line as well. But I'm going to be pretty much trying to kind of speed through this. Next, I'm taking Bubble Bath. I'm taking that smaller brush from that brush set, and I'm just going to use it to blend at the edges. Ooh. I'm so intrigued. Just going back and forth. Then I'm going to go back in with Bewitched just a little bit more, and I'm just kind of tapping it on and then like swiping it outwards to blend it. I love the way that these two combine together to create like another shade. Super fun. Going in with Hop Along, and I did miss my brush just lightly once I picked it up. Ooh, that's really beautiful. It's like blue, teal, green. I see blue right now, but in the viewfinder I see green. This one is definitely a black base multi-chrome, so you can kind of see the gray edges a little bit. So I'm going to be very careful in kind of like blending those out just a little bit so that I don't have a harsh edge. And then just layering it over the outer corner, and then taking Bubble Bath underneath my lower lash line. Going in with Ribbit on the inner corner. Oh, that is such a perfect highlight shade. Oh, yes. And then I think I'm going to take Camouflage. I'm just going to do a little under. Oh, that's so pretty. A little under the brow highlight. Oh, that is so beautiful. Wow, I love that. Okay. I'm so glad I put it there. I'm just going to extend it because I just want it to be like wet there. And as always, I'm also going to layer hop along on top of the lid with my finger just to see if it gets a little bit more metallic. It's really beautiful. I definitely feel like this is one of the more metallic black-based multi-chromes so far that I've seen from Sugar Drizzle. Here's the first finished look. Do a monochromatic look on this side, again going in with the blends palette, going in with Remedy. Just gonna go in with the green, just going in right in the crease. Oh, that blended out so nicely. Taking looks on the outer corner. I'm gonna use Inside Joke to kind of blend it out. Going in with just a little bit more to really get that depth in there. And then I think I'm going to go in with a black just to really deepen it up. Taking looks underneath my lower lash line. Taking Fly Swatter, my lash line. I did spray my brush after I picked up some of the shadow. Getting a little bit of fallout. And it's just going to go right here. Next, taking Lily Pad, right above that, I'm going to do like a fake half cut crease. Dipping in for a little bit more. Oh, that's so beautiful, and that blends so nicely. And then inner corner highlight, I'm going to use Camouflage. Oh yeah. Oh yes. Here's the second finished look. I just primed with the MAC Paint Pot Primer. And I'm going to be dipping into the Surge palette from Blend Bunny Cosmetics, and I'm going in with Stay right into the crease. I'm going to do another monochromatic look. I think I'm going to do kind of like a halo eye. There's just so many looks I could create with this palette, with the Men I Love Frogs palette and the Blends palette, because there's just so many beautiful shimmers between the two. And then I'm just taking Beckon to blend out the edges of that. And then going back in with Stay. And I'm taking Covet on the inner lid and on the outer corner. Taking Covet under my lower lash line. Inner and outer. Getting a bit of fallout, which is not great. And then I'm going to use Stay and Beckon kind of back and forth, and I'm just going to blend the edge of that out here. Going back in with Covet. I'm going in with Pond right in the center. Oh my god, that's so beautiful. Kind of reminds me of Lucid Lavender, I think a little bit. Definitely would be an interesting comparison. Oh, I love the way that looks. I'm gonna go in with Leap above that, I think. This one is a little chunkier. I just picked it up on this brush, and I sprayed my brush after I picked it up. Just taking a little bit more. See, it's a little flaky, so you gotta be careful. I think I might actually go in with my finger just to help blend it. Oh yeah, that's better. Oh, it's so shiny. I definitely think I put on too much because it's kind of doing like a chunky looking, the way like it's creasing there. I'm taking Croaky underneath my lower lash line. Oh, that is such a beautiful purple blue duochrome. Oh yeah, this is such a beautiful dimensional look. I mean, it just looks wet. Here's the third finished look. I put on the No Filters lashes from Kiss. I just wanted something light so it doesn't overpower the sparkle. I think the shift is going to be a little bit harder to see when it's just in the center of my lid. Going in with Signs from the Blends palette. Right in the crease. I did prime with the Soft Ochre Paint Pot from MAC. And then taking Giggle right above that. I do feel like this primer is like super dry. And it's definitely got that like orangey tone to it, so it does interfere with colorful shadows. But I really like it otherwise. I'm going back in with Signs. I'm going to do a little bit of a reverse. So the first look I did blue here, purple out here. So for this one I'm going to do purple here and blue out there. But we got lots of purpley blue looks, especially with this palette. Taking a larger brush to blend this out here. Taking Spellbound in the outer corner. Just going to slowly work it on. So really just blend it first and then I'm going to pack it on. I'm going to use a little bit of Beam out here, just mix it together. So now I'm going back in with Spellbound, and this is when I'm going to really pack it on to get the depth. And I'm going to go back into the smaller brush. I really am liking the smaller brush. I wish they just sold it separately because I don't think I really want to keep buying just the set just for this brush. You know? So I'm taking some just light powder and dusting it on the edges. Taking Spellbound underneath my lower lash line. And I'm putting on more Spellbound. This is like a super winged out look. Picked up Frog Life, and that's gonna go on the outer portion. Oh my gosh, there's so much fallout. I just missed my brush. Maybe just picked up too much on the brush. And then next to that, I'm gonna go in with Tadpole. This shade reminds me of a Terra Moon's shade, actually. That is applying really nicely. And then I'm gonna go in with one of the lighter shades, I think Camouflage, and just create like a highlight. So I picked up Camouflage. I'm just gonna pop that right here. Oh, that's so beautiful. Oh, this as a highlight would also be really amazing, like a cheek highlight. Bringing it again into my inner corner. And I'm just gonna extend it a little bit down. Here's the fourth finished look. I have on the No Filters lashes from Kiss. So I've tried pretty much all the shades on the lid except for this black base multi-chrome MILF. And any other shade I didn't try? Nope, I tried all of them except for that one shade. And I gotta say, I really, really love this palette. I just love the assortment of the shimmers in here. You can create some really beautiful, dimensional, shifty, shiny looks. Like especially this one, it's just so, so shiny. And I absolutely love that. And I did put these on with my finger as well as a brush. And I gotta say, they work really well either way, except for some of the slightly chunkier shades like Leap, which might be a little bit harder to pick up. So definitely recommend a little bit of a toothier kind of brush. But that's really common for anything that's slightly chunky in the pan. That being said, none of these look chunky on the lid unless you use way too much. Just like with anything, again, that is chunky, if you put too much on, you do risk some skin texture accentuation. If you have any experience with the other Sugar Drizzle palettes, then I think the shadows in this palette will be of no surprise to you. But overall, really, really enjoy this palette. Pond is also absolutely stunning. I mean, you really can't go wrong with any of these. And you can really like pair these, layer these, or you can just appreciate one at a time on the lid. So I think this is a great variety. If you're a blue, purple, green lover, you're gonna love this palette for sure. The multi-chromes in here, the black base multi-chromes, are the shiniest that I've seen so far from Sugar Drizzle in a palette, and I feel like that makes this palette even more like worth it. If you don't have these shades already from other brands, from singles or from other palettes, I think this is a great value, especially with those two black base multi-chromes that you'll be able to try out. They're really, really metallic, super smooth. So I'm so glad I got to try this palette out, and I really just want to keep creating looks with it because these are just just my tones. Like, I just really love these kinds of shades. I love that some of them are more topper-like, so you can really play with layering them over darker, colorful matte eyeshadows. So to me, this is another hit from Sugar Drizzle. But of course, look at your collection, see what you have, and make sure you don't have too many dupes in this palette so that you're not buying doubles, and really decide for yourself if this is a palette that you see yourself using a lot. So those are all my thoughts on the palette. Let me know in the comments below if you plan on buying it. All the launch information will be down in the description box. And if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. And if you're new to my channel, I would love it if you subscribe. There's so much indie makeup content, lots and lots of tutorials up already on my channel, and much more to come. You don't want to miss out. So thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in my next video.